Breaking news tonight, the so-called new Diddy. Yes, two wealthy Florida real estate brothers' trophies are just revealed. Good evening, I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
A trio of brothers, luxury real estate agents to the super rich, indicted on federal sex trafficking and battery charges. Claims go back more than a decade.
Claims going back more than a decade, try 2 decades. Now, 40 women that we know of claiming these filthy rich real estate moguls took part in after systematic, and that the allegations go back to when they were in high school. All that money, all that privilege and education has bought them a one-way ticket to hell with a pit stop in the federal penitentiary. That's my prediction, but I want you to hear what Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney, has to say.
The Alexander brothers and other men they planned the trips with paid for the flights or accommodations for the women on these trips. And at times, the defendants handpicked the women to invite. At other times, they used paid party promoters to source women for them. The indictment also alleges that in advance of these events, the Alexander brothers and others procured drugs that they agreed to provide to the women, including cocaine, mushrooms, and GHB. As we allege, these drugs caused some of the women to be physically unable to fight back or to escape.
Now you know why they're calling it the new Diddy, or should I say the new Diddies. Now, that's what the U.S. Attorney is saying, for the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, but I want you to look at Orin Alexander, on the founder.
Having the ability to work with my brother, to have a partner with your brother. Just think about that for a second. The biggest issue you have in partnership is trust, and knowing that you don't have to worry.
Honey, you got something to worry about now. What if your brother flips on you and testifies against you? Let's just analyze what we just heard. And that's where our friends at From the Founder on YouTube. That's Orin Alexander, one of the, and I mean filthy rich, rolling in money. That's Orin Alexander. Quote, having the ability to work with my brother, to have a partner who's your brother, just think about that for a second. Don't worry, I'm thinking about it. The biggest issue you have in partnership is trust and knowing you don't have to worry. Okay, what happened? With me, an all-star panel, let's get to it. Straight out to Christina Awayo, joining us, national news anchor, Salem News Channel. Christina, thank you for being with us. I'm really curious about how much money these two have. And this goes all the way back. Their family is wealthy. Their grandfather wealthy, blah, 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 blah. Kind of like Luigi Mangione, just all that money, 2 silver spoons in the mouth. And yet this. What happened, Christina?
Actually, I think it started way back when they were in high school, as people are now starting to come out and say that they actually had a sex van that was parked in front of their parents' $40 million beachfront estate, where the boys, the brothers in high school, would take women to have sex in that bus in front of their parents' house. So this has been behavior that has been encouraged perhaps by their parents all the way through. Then you add the hundreds of millions of dollars in properties that these brothers have sold and the security business. And they're pretty much running around town doing anything that they want, including, according to prosecutors, drugging women, raping women. Each brother has separately been accused of at least 10 forcible by women, and prosecutors are saying
Hey, Christina Awayo, hold on. Wait a minute. We were just looking at them. Control room, could I please see a shot of them all dressed up and manicured? Karen Stark, look at them. Look at them. Why is it so hard for people to believe that super wealthy, college-educated, great job guys can commit heinous, oh, okay, I'm glad I saw that, heinous crimes? That's what he posted on his own Facebook. Go ahead.
Well, I really believe, Nancy, when people see this outward appearance, they're dressed so well, they look so terrific. that they buy that they believe that that's what they're really like. And they have no idea what's going on behind the scene. And actually, the fact that he says he trusts his brother, I was thinking, yeah, they trust, all of them trust each other in supporting the crimes that they committed, which made it even worse because they were encouraged.
Nima Rahmani is joining us, high-profile lawyer out of the California jurisdiction and, for my purposes, former federal prosecutor, president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers, and author of Harvard to Hashtag. Nima, thank you for being with us. Nima, got a question for you. Many people not familiar with our world of crime would say, hey, why do they have to women with good looks? Of course, they're not attractive to me. I think they look like Satan himself. But with good looks and all that money, they could get any woman they want. So why rape a woman? That kind of argument has actually worked on juries before, Nima.
It has, but Nancy, this isn't just having sex with women. We're talking about drug-induced, right? Where multiple men, including the two brothers, are allegedly having sex with the same woman. So, yeah, women might want to have sex with a handsome, wealthy man, but not get in a situation where they're having and they are being
Okay, you
violated
know
by
what, Nima?
multiple men.
You're speaking sense to me. Yes, I know that. That's my point, Nima. I'm like 2 steps beyond that. Of course, what you just said is right. What I'm saying is it would be argued to a jury, just look at them. Why would they have to source women with a PR person? In other words, basically pimp for the brothers, because they could get any woman they want. Therefore, ergo, they're innocent.
It's not just any woman, Nancy. They need new women every single night. And they want to do things to these women that a lot of women wouldn't consent to. Now, obviously, this is a family show, so I'm not going to get into all that. But that's why they're using drugs like GHB to drug these women so they can't say no. That's what this is all about. And it's a tale as old as time. Doesn't matter if it's the Alexander brothers, Diddy,
Okay,
Abercrombie
I can
CEO.
see
You
that
see the
I'm
rich and famous.
clearly, I think you and I have a communication problem because you're just basically saying everything that I say. Lynn Shaw, help me out here. Founder, executive director, Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sex attacks on children and women. Lynn Shaw, I'm trying to make the point that the argument will be made by the defense. I already know the facts as presented by the state. Everything that Rahmani just said. I get it. I've read the indictment, okay? The defense is going to argue at trial, they don't need to rape women. They can get any woman they want. Therefore, this is consensual. That's BS. It's argued in so many cases.
I call them the Alexander Brothers crime family, and I call these dirty Diddy complicit wannabes. Listen, the egos are so big, they're out of control. Again, this is the same story we heard with Diddy and others facing charges like this, that so many vulnerable girls and women, I'm going to throw in the girls again. I wish we could get down to were there any minors involved, but that'll unfold at some point. They want to see and live this lifestyle. Many of these women were approached online, complete strangers, and they said, we'll fly you out, we'll give you hotels, we'll give you parties, we'll give you clothes. And vulnerable people, girls especially, really want to experience this. I'm here to say, if this case can help us educate the general public, because we're hearing about all these, dirty Diddy, we're hearing about Tate brothers, we're hearing about Jeffrey Epstein, we're hearing about now these criminal Alexander brothers. If it could water down eventually, my hope is to everyday cases that are happening that nobody will ever hear those victims or see those victims, so we can educate everybody. When they offer you something like this lifestyle for free, they're going to fly you somewhere, run in the other direction. This is, again, their powers, their money, their egos, their homes, overtaking people's common sense. We have to do better educating the public, girls and women, about all of this.
Their family wealth has been estimated, correct me if I'm wrong, because Christina Awayo joining me from Salem News Channel, over $115 million.
Correct. And I'm sure that's even more than that, as the parents have offered to put up to $1 billion to get their three boys out of prison, out on bail. They've even offered to put them up in a second-story apartment complex for their jail time pretrial that has no beachfront, that has no luxury, that's, guarded 24/7 by guards.
Wait. Christina, wait. Did you say the parents want to get them out of jail on a billion, as in brother, $1 billion bail, and the jail is because they don't have a beach view? Did you say that?
They won't have a waterfront view. They won't have any, and it won't be luxury. So that's what they're considering to be jail. And yes, up to $1 billion with a B is what they're willing to put up to get their three sons out of prison.
Bill Daly, it's the Diddies. It's the new Diddies, because all the money, procuring the women, making other people be your hench person to bring women to you, to drug them and rape them. Those are the allegations. They're presumed innocent. But also, it's Luigi Mangione all over again. Here is a rich brat kid whining about how us common people have to live with the healthcare industry, while he's in a beachfront Hawaii luxury high-rise condo. His great-grandparents and grandparents broke their backs coming to this country and becoming millionaires, working up from nothing, passing it down so Luigi Mangione could whine in his luxury condo. These two, same thing, Bill.
Yeah, and in this case, they've actually built their business. So they built their brand. They now feel omnipotent. I mean, they have money. They're traveling with celebrities. They're flying on private jets. They're selling these huge, multi-million dollar properties. They're getting headlines in all kinds of media, including their own real estate empire. So, these are paper people. If I put a profile around them, not an FBI profile, but I know enough of them to speak about how these people can become emblazoned. It's both feeding the ego as well as also just their ability to control things. So they like to be able to control everything, whether it's the deal or people.
Guess what I got? A superseding indictment. I bet that's making Nima Rahmani just clench, because when you see the feds have a superseding indictment, this is for conspiracy to commit sex trafficking on these rich brats, that means, hey, we had one go at you, but we're not through. We're issuing a new and improved indictment with more charges. It supersedes the previous indictment. Yeah, they may be rolling in money, but apparently the feds don't care. So exactly who are the so-called real estate bros? Listen.
There are three Alexander brothers. Two of the brothers are twins, Orin and Alon. Their older brother, Tal. Tal and Orin Alexander are known in the world of high-priced real estate, having brokered a $49 million deal for their dad in 2012 and a $240 million deal for a Manhattan condo sale in 2019, while Orin's twin brother, Alon, attended law school before joining the family's private security company, Kent Security.
A big thank you to our partner making today's program possible. It's Home Title Lock. Your home is so much more than just four walls and a roof over your head. Like our family, our home will be the primary asset passed down to our twins, John David and Lucy. American homeowners hold over $32 trillion in equity, making them a target for scammers and a growing crime that the FBI calls house stealing. How do they do it? Criminals can transfer your home's title out of your name with a simple document. Then they file it with the county, and that allows them to take out loans against your home or even sell your property without you even knowing. You don't find out until foreclosure notices arrive, leaving you in a financial nightmare. Protect your equity with Home Title Lock's $1 million triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and up to $1 million for fraud restoration. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code Nancy. Get 25% off. Thank you, Home Title Lock, for being our partner.
In a $50 million Upper East Side townhouse, the Alexander twins, Oren and Alon, celebrate their 28th birthday. Celebrants are greeted by a nearly naked woman on display as a toy for the rich and famous to play with, as they take turns dripping hot wax on the woman, setting the tone for the decadent night that awaits those who are rich enough and or famous enough to be invited to the Alexander twins' birthday bash.
What am I hearing? Wait a minute. A $50 million Upper East Side townhouse. The real estate bros celebrate their 28th birthday. Celebrants greeted by a nearly naked woman on display as a toy for the rich and famous to play with as they take turns dripping hot wax on her. Deja vu, huh? Does this remind you of anything? Hi, Diddy. There you are. Nothing like eating sushi off a naked lady on display for the rich and famous. I mean, it's like an echo chamber in here. Well, guess what? The feds, apparently, in this case anyway, don't care how rich you are or whether you're eating sushi off a naked lady at a luxury party or you have her on display so rich people can drip wax on her. Listen to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
The Alexander brothers, sometimes acting alone, sometimes with each other, and sometimes with other men, forcibly and assaulted the women. As the indictment alleges, the Alexander brothers' sex trafficking agreement went beyond the planned trips and events. On numerous occasions, one or more of the defendants drugged and or sexually assaulted women they encountered by chance, at bars, at nightclubs, social events, and dating apps. These assaults allegedly had many of the same hallmarks as the rapes that occurred at group events: isolated locations, drugged victims, force, and physical restraint.
It's really a lot to take in. Very often as a former prosecutor, prosecuting nothing but violent felonies, I would catch myself wondering why. For instance, why not just date a woman and have a relationship and have sex with her and not drug anybody and them in a party setting with a lot of guys standing around? But then I realized about 5 years into that kind of thinking, why? Ask why. It doesn't matter. I had one job: to seek the truth. Who did what, where, when, and why? Why? Not so much. To Karen Stark, renowned psychologist, joining us. Karen, it's not about sex. That's a simple answer for me. Why don't the real estate bros, with all their money and all their high rises, just go date somebody and have a sex life? It's not about the sex. What is it?
It's a perversion, Nancy. They're getting off on a normal relationship. The kind that you're referring to does not excite them. They have gotten used to this kind of violence since they were in high school. And this is what gets them excited, nothing else.
Talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. These wild, extravagant parties that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars were not parties at all. They were just a ruse to find sex assault victims for the new Diddies. Listen.
The fabulous parties with fabulous people might have been a cover for something sinister pre-planned by the Alexander brothers. Each of the three brothers has been accused of forcible by at least 10 women. All three indicted on federal charges of sex trafficking, while the twins, Oren and Alon, are charged with sexual battery in Florida. The Alexanders have denied the allegations in the civil cases, and their reps have previously gone so far as to suggest the accusers were trying to shake down the brothers.
Second verse, same as the first. Do I have to say deja vu all over again? Why the real estate bros are called the new Diddies? Same thing. Now, they called it fabulous parties. Diddy calls it freak-offs.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
To Christina Awayo joining us, investigative reporter and news anchor, the comparison between the real estate bros and Diddy are inescapable.
They are. They both are basically using their power and influence to allegedly drug and rape women. However, the brothers have been doing this, I think, longer than Diddy, all the way tracing back to high school. I think they were encouraged to do it with their lifestyle, and they have been described as being very aggressive, very bullish, very attackive when it comes to working in business. And also you have people from their high school years who are coming forward saying that they did it in high school, and people were scared. Everybody in the community was scared to speak out because they had so much power. They had so much prominence because they had so much influence. And the same goes for Diddy. He has so much power and so much money. People don't want to talk out against him. People are scared that their careers are going to be ruined, that they're never going to be let back into the music industry, that they'll be blacklisted from certain events. And I think the same is true for the brothers from Miami all the way to Florida. People are scared of not being believed. People are scared of having their lives ruined. They're scared of accusing men who have so much power and so much money.
The indictment also alleges that in advance of these events, the Alexander brothers and others procured drugs that they agreed to provide to the women, including cocaine, mushrooms, and GHB. As we allege, these drugs caused some of the women to be physically unable to fight back or to escape.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.
The Alexander brothers await charges in jail as a New York federal judge deems the trio flight risks. They're extradited to the same jail as Diddy as the Metropolitan Detention Center looms.
The Alexander brothers, the so-called real estate bros, rolling in money, also called the new Diddies, all of their trouble started, well, it really started all the way back in high school when they're accused of sex assaulting women all the way back then. But the current day problems, i.e. their charges, all started when one woman spoke out. According to prosecutors, the rapes and sex assaults had been going on for years and years and years until this woman spoke out. Listen.
The Alexander brothers' fall from grace begins when The Real Deal reports on damning lawsuits brought by alleged victims Kate Whiteman and Rebecca Mandel. Whiteman alleges the brothers abducted her in 2012 and brought her to a Hamptons party palace in Watermill, Long Island, where the brothers allegedly dragged her into a large bedroom where she was sexually assaulted, abused, pinned, groped, harassed, battered by Alon and Orin Alexander.
Isn't it amazing, Lynn Shaw joining us from Lynn's Warriors, how it only takes one person to stand up and be counted, one person to speak out, even though they may be afraid, for the whole house of cards to fall down.
Yeah, but we have to educate everybody that we will give you safety. We will give you guardrails. We will stand next to you. That is what I'm hoping all of these dirty Diddies and this Alexander Brothers crime family will bring more public awareness. Again, watering down to, maybe that teen that lives in the Bronx or something like that, that they can come forward. We will take care of them. But I want to point something out. There is so much video evidence here. And I want to go back to what happened with all those videos where they upload it to porn sites. Was there millions of dollars? Because we do a lot of work with
Wait
this.
a minute, Lynn Shaw. Hold on. Wait, Lynn. You're exactly right. Straight out to Christina Awayo joining us, news anchor and investigative reporter. What are these so-called trophies of the real estate bros that have just been revealed?
Yes, well, it's one thing to have a witness testimony, right? But it's an entirely different situation when you have video evidence, as we just saw with the Cassie and Diddy situation. Prosecutors and investigators raided Tal Alexander's Manhattan apartment, and they found a hard drive filled with pictures and videos. They're saying in these videos, of course, there's the quote unquote orgies or the sessions where alleged is happening. They are saying that women can be seen highly intoxicated on alcohol or maybe even drugged. They're saying they're seeing in these videos where the brothers are physically manipulating these women's bodies to have sex with them. And most of the time, they're saying these women do not know they're being recorded. There's this one incident that they explain that a woman and a man are having sex in a stall, and another person is recording over the stall with a camera. And when the woman sees it, she protests. She says no. So it's going to be pretty difficult. For whatever reason they kept these videos or they have these videos, it's going to be difficult to defend this in court.
Christina, you stated that one of the videos was taken over a stall. What?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So a man and a woman were having sex. It didn't detail if that was forced. It didn't detail what that was exactly, but there is a third person who is holding a video camera up over the bathroom stall where the woman and man are inside of that stall having sex. And the woman sees the camera. She tells them to stop, and they don't stop. And that's what prosecutors are saying. They're not listening to these women. They're manipulating their bodies, and they won't stop when the women are asking them to stop.
Trophies. Trophies. To Nima Rahmani joining us, former federal prosecutor, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, author of Harvard to Hashtags. Nima, trophies have been the undoing of so many criminals. Explain.
Oh, it's great evidence if you're a prosecutor, because people can lie. Criminal defendants lie all the time. Even witnesses and victims can sometimes lie, but video doesn't lie. And when you have video of these sex acts, that is the best evidence when you're a prosecutor, because really there's only two defenses in any sex trafficking case. Either the sexual activity didn't happen or it was consensual. That's it, Nancy. And once you have that video, it certainly takes away the first offense. And then when women are being drugged, it takes away the second as well. And there's really two reasons why people record these sex acts. The first is their own deviant sexual pleasure. And I think that's probably why Diddy was recording his freak-offs. But there's a second reason, and that is to have control over the victims, potentially blackmail them and say, hey, if you come after me, I'm going to leak these videos.
Christina Aguayo, isn't it true that these videos were pulled off of a hard drive that was found hidden in a closet during a federal search?
Yes, but in Tal Alexander's Manhattan apartment. So they were really searching. They had the warrant to go through everything, and he kept them. He kept them on a hard drive. And it's not just videos, it's pictures as well. And it goes to show that just like he said, men lie, women lie, witnesses lie, perhaps, but the video is not going to lie. And this is pretty tough evidence. However, the defense is already saying this doesn't prove anything. This doesn't prove a commercial act. This doesn't prove that they were drugged. It may prove that they're intoxicated, but he's saying, oh, these are just big. Everybody was willing, and there is nothing going on here. So next story, please.
You know, it reminds me, in the last few days, Sean Combs, aka Diddy's defense team, has stated they want the freak-off videos to be made public because it, quote, proves his innocence. Okay, sure. You know, another thing, if it's so innocent, why was it hidden in a closet? But thinking about the videos of trophies pulled from a hard drive in the real estate bro's closet, it reminds me of a certain raid that went down on Sean Combs' mansion. In that case as well, Bill Daley, former FBI, trophies, quote, trophies were obtained. During that raid, Bill Daley, video equipment was reportedly discovered, along with over 1,000 bottles of lubricant baby oil. Trophies have been the bane of many criminals' existence. Why trophies?
Well, you know, and as if you go to other repeat offenders, repeat criminals, such as Dennis Rader, the bind, torture, kill fiend, you know, they either keep pieces of clothing, they keep something to remind them, something that's going to get them excited, something's going to, you know, make them remember how wonderful it was that they controlled this person, that they did what they did. And so for all these things,
Why are
it's some
you
type
putting
of,
perfume on the pig daily? That's not like you. The souvenirs, the trophies, quote, get them excited. You mean give them an
well, that as well as sharing it among other people. Being able to, in some cases, they like to share it because they've had this experience with other people. They keep it. They look at themselves. Maybe other people they let them see that. That all kind of gives them a sense of control. It goes back to that essence of controlling individuals, controlling their environment, doing what they want to do, using that leverage over people. In this case, Nancy, and a very interesting point that came up, which is similar to what we've seen in other cases, is that as the FBI was investigating this, reports are coming out that multiple victims had the same stories. Again, people who've been not connected, not there at the same place, same time, but have the same story to tell. All of that is extremely, and is part of what I believe the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office is making their case out of, is that they have statements. And I would
I'm very
encourage people.
curious, Bill Daly. I think this goes beyond your or my kin colloquial for understanding. Joining me, psychologist Karen Stark. Everything Bill Daly said is correct, but what is the reason, the mental or the psychological reason that people like Dennis Rader, or in this case, the real estate bros, also called the bros, but those are just accusations, why keep all these videos? They're damning.
It's a wonderful way for them to relive the crime, Nancy. And whatever got them off when they were doing it, whatever got them excited, they can do that all over again repeatedly because they have these trophies. It's great if it's a video, but it can be an earring. It could be a necklace. It could be a piece of clothing. It doesn't matter. They wind up reliving the excitement that they felt at the time and how much they controlled the situation.
For years, the Alexander brothers, sometimes with others, also arranged domestic and international trips to carry out their sex trafficking scheme. To recruit and induce women to come on the trips, they provided material benefits, things like travel to vacation destinations, luxury accommodations, and access to other high-end experiences.
Are the claims true? Should I believe the real estate bros, or should I believe all of the women now coming forward, some of them named in federal indictments, others filing civil suits? What's very hard for many people to understand, including myself, is how the real estate bros acted, how they faked a happy home life. Listen.
The Alexander brothers are all married now. Alon married Shani Zigran, with whom he has 2 children in May of 2020. Oren married model Camilla Hansen in April 2023, and Tal married Ariel Kogut in October of 2023. Oren pleaded with the judge to let him out as his wife was pregnant and due any day. His request was denied.
That's something the baby can say as it grows up. Dad was in jail on charges when I was born. This whole facade of a happy family, again, it's Diddy Redo. Listen.
Say hey, Chance.
Happy birthday to Mom.
We love you. Chance is right here too, if you can hear. On the phone. One more time.
Hey, Chance. Happy birthday.
Thank you, babe.
To veteran trial lawyer, former felony prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Nima, it would not be the first time a so-called family man was ultimately convicted of repeat offenses. I mean, there's Dennis Rader that Bill Daly brought up earlier, who would sex assault and kill so many women, and including young girls, on his dog catching route. The whole time he had a family at home and he was a deacon in the church. Then you've got Gacy, John Wayne Gacy, who would go to children's birthday parties to entertain the children dressed as a clown. I don't know how many boys' bodies were pulled out of his crawl space. Then you got Ted Bundy, who seemingly was a successful law school student. He's a serial killer. It goes on and on. And oh, do I have to say Rex Heuermann, the 800-pound gorilla in the room? The architect by day, serial killer by night, with a wife and 2 children?
Nancy and Huberman's wife actually saw some of these sex acts, at least allegedly, so it's a question of what she knew. But this is criminal defense lawyering 101. They want to show the jurors that the defendant has family support. That's why you see Diddy's family at every single appearance. That's why I fully expect the Alexander brothers to have their parents, the wives who haven't filed divorce, to be at those court proceedings, because that's what jurors expect. They want to see the family members supporting the folks who are accused and are on trial.
And like Diddy, the new Diddies have a fantastical scheme of how they're going to stay out of MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center. Listen.
In a crazy bid to keep their boys out of incarceration, the parents of the Alexander brothers have offered to provide private imprisonment. In a real proposal to authorities, Shlomo and Orly Alexander proposed confining the brothers to a 2-bedroom apartment on the 8th floor of a Miami building, emphasizing the apartment is non-waterfront and non-luxury. They promised security guards would be stationed around the clock and an alarm system would make sure the brothers remain on site. The parents also offered to put up to $1 billion bail for their sons to get out of jail.
In case you didn't get that, it's 1 billion as in brother, B as in brother, not million, billion. The parents offering to put up $1 billion cash to get their sons out of jail. Maybe they were going to put in some equity into that, but $1 billion bail to get their sons out and having them imprisoned in a Miami high-rise, and the suffering part was that they wouldn't get a beachfront view. Ouch. That has to hurt. How dare you, Mommy and Daddy? Christina Arroyo, it's reminiscent of the last bid, well, the last 3 bids by Sean Combs to get out on bid, where he offered the judge a multi-million-dollar bail package, I think it was 20 mil, and he would stay in a Manhattan townhome with his own private security guards to keep him from people.
Right. And that's the draw, right?
Echo.
Exactly. I promised not to rape anybody during this time. I promised that I'm not going to have any. In fact, I won't even have any women over. So that in and of itself is a huge punishment. This is the same thing that we're seeing with these brothers. And quite frankly, I don't know how much the parents can be trusted in this whole situation, because we talk about pretending to have a perfect family, but I go back to the sex bus that was sitting outside of their $40 million home as the brothers were in high school. And people have said, witness testimony, they are saying that back in those days that women in the scene, in the Miami scene, because for some reason high school brothers were in the Miami scene, they were warned not to drink any drinks that came from the brothers and to stay away from the brothers because they had already been known way back in high school to be sexually assaulting women.
New York prosecutors say assaults date back to high school, describing the number of victims as quite significant.
And the numbers are mounting. What started with one woman speaking out about an alleged sex assault turns into a federal indictment on sex trafficking. There's so many victims. Will the superseded indictment be superseded to include more victims? Listen.
The Alexander brothers are accused of using their wealth and positions to create and facilitate opportunities to rape and sexually assault women. So far, more than 40 women have come forward accusing the 3 Alexander brothers of sexual misconduct, and investigators are asking other women who believe they have been assaulted to call. Attorneys for the brothers say they plan to plead not guilty to the charges, which, if convicted, could land all 3 brothers in prison for life.
As we are discussing these alleged acts, sex assault, that's what we're saying, reportedly date all the way back to when the real estate bros were in high school. Listen.
As news of the arrests start to spread, stories from the Alexander brothers' high school years come to light. Prosecutors say each of the victims that the government has interviewed from this period reported hearing that individuals involved, including Tal Alexander, talked about the assaults at school, boasting about running train on their victims and saying they wanted to do it again.
You know, Lynn Shaw, as many cases that I've investigated, have tried, have pled out to jail time, have covered, it's still It's disgusting. It just makes something in you want to die to hear about them bragging about, quote, running train on the victims, which means multiple on one victim, saying they, quote, wanted to do it again. It never ceases to be heartbreaking that a victim would go through this.
Well, we can't die, Nancy. We have to stand for those that don't have a voice. And I want us to focus on two things here. I want us to focus on where was Mama Alexander? We're talking about a sex bus when these trio of triplets, Dirty Diddy triplets, were parked right in front of their multi-million-dollar mansion. I'm telling you, as a mother, I knew when my kids moved a throw pillow on my couch. Where were the parents at this time and throughout all of this? The second thing I want to, and we have to talk about that because people have to start standing up. Where were these parents? They were the talk of the town we're hearing, in the Miami, Florida area. So we should focus on that. I also want to focus on, you're not going to see their wives in court with them. Those women are taking their kids and running for the hills. One has already filed for divorce. Okay. They're going to turn evidence on them. They're beautiful young women. They have some young children, a newborn baby. They're not sticking around for this. And the third thing I want to get back to, we're not talking enough about, is that oldest brother with his security firm. There is video evidence. Where are all those videos going? I guarantee, I hope we have a forensic accountant coming along, that they have been uploaded, not only to control their victims and to scare them, they have been uploaded to porn sites where these monsters make millions and millions of dollars across the globe. And these are things we should be looking at.
Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist joining us out of Manhattan tonight. Karen, I haven't told you the story about the twins. You know I have bark on all their devices. They know I have bark on all their devices. So I got an alert about my son who scrubbed in sunshine, an alert from bark. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened on Fortnite? I looked and it said sex. I'm like, so it shows you what it was, okay? I get an alert every time something disturbing comes up. For instance, one time it said self-harm. It was of him taking a picture of a bruise he got diving through a soccer net to save a goal. Okay, that was a self-harm. This about sex, guess what it was, Karen Stark? It was the Nancy Grace Show. It was a banner. The program we did about Blake Lively, and it had the word sex harass in it. The Nancy Grace Show popped up on his bark. So my point is, where were the parents? I'm looking at bark every time I get an alert, and they're never anything. Where were the parents? Lynn is right.
You know what's so outrageous, Nancy, is that these same parents are saying that they want to give $1 billion and they'll make sure that these guys have no opportunity to do anything. They won't face the ocean. They will make sure that they can't do any harm. But meanwhile, there was the van parked outside their very own home. And what? They didn't know what their boys were doing. They didn't hear any of the rumors. They didn't investigate. It's as though they supported all of this.
Oh, Karen Stark, you know what? Of course, the parents aren't charged with anything, but I would have been right there at that van. Come out, everybody. I mean, no way. That said, let me give everyone the 800 line, 1-800-225-5324. Repeat, 800-225-5324. We wait as justice unfolds, and now we remember an American hero, Deputy U.S. Marshal Norman Merkel, passing away in the line of duty after 18 years of service. A U.S. Army vet, he's survived by loving mom, Kalina, and 2 grieving sisters. American hero, Deputy Marshal Norman Merkel. Thank you to our guests for being with us, but especially to you for being with us tonight and every night. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.